Freemasonry is a fraternal organisation that traces its roots back to as early as the 14th century. Modern Freemasonry evolved from the stonemasons guilds in 17th century England and quickly spread throughout Europe and the rest of the world. Freemasons are ordinary men in the community of all religious, social and cultural backgrounds who share a concern for human values and moral standards, respect for the law and the rights of individuals. Because members come from all backgrounds, Masonic meetings become a place to interact with people from all walks of life, learn skills, make lasting friendships, and take time out from the business of life. As a Freemason, you're connected to like-minded men throughout the world by the common thread of living a principled life. Hello, I'm Wes Turnbull, and welcome to Freemasons, The Inside Story. In this series, we'll take you behind the doors of the Masonic Lodge. We'll expose the myths, explore the history of the organisation, delve into the lives of some famous Freemasons, look at the voluntary work Freemasons do within the community and the charities they support, plus talk to a few Freemasons about what the fraternity means to them. First up, Peter Murdoch takes us inside the lodge room to meet some young Freemasons. Find out what attracted them to the organisation and what continues to hold their interest.
We're inside the lodge room at the Williamstown Masonic Centre, and as you'd expect, it's full of rich symbolism. With me are Matthew, Barish and Laurent, three young Freemasons who are going to tell us a little bit about what Freemasonry means to them. Matthew, we'll start with you. In this room, what's your favourite symbol?
That would have to be the letter G, which is situated in the centre of the lodge. It represents the great architect of the universe. This is alluding to a higher being watching over us. Now, Freemasonry itself, not being a specific religion in any sort, does accept all people into their fold of various different religious backgrounds. So for each person, that would represent their own respective God or whoever it might be. It also does represent geometry, alluding to sciences as well. So it's a combination of ancient beliefs as well as modern sciences as well.
The square. It represents the behavior about humanity, in general, and regulate your conduct with others.
Mine are the three pillars situated in the south, west and east. They're called the Doric, Ionic and Corinthian pillars. These pillars represent beauty, strength and wisdom. And in my daily life I try to incorporate those three principles. And if other people see those principles within me, I feel like I'm on the right track in Freemasonry.
Let's start, I guess, by the other question that we're probably thinking about is what attracted you to Freemasonry? Matthew?
I have to admit, before joining Freemasonry, I'd heard a little bit about it and it got me very curious. And via a friend of my brother's, ended up going to an open night, an information night. And there I learnt that it's an organisation filled with everyday regular people of different varied backgrounds, but all with a common interest in furthering their knowledge or honour in charitable endeavours. And I thought that's something which I really would like to go into.
Laurent, you're a current master of the lodge. What does that mean?
To be the master of the lodge is to have the responsibility of all the lodge for 1 year.
So how many degrees are there in Freemasonry?
There is the initiation first, and after a year you can become a fellow craft Freemason on the second year, and after another year you can become a master Mason.
So what does that actually mean though?
I think it represents life. It's being born, you're an entered apprentice, living you're a fellow craft, and towards the end of your life where you have the experiences, you become a master. As in life, as you become older, you experience different things and you learn more, and you're knowledgeable, and that's what the Master Masonry represents.
So when you say master, though, what do you think it's a master of?
Master of yourself. Yeah. It's about learning and your development. It symbolises that you have become one or whole.
What happens inside this room on a lodge night? Tell me about that.
It's more of a reflection of the ceremonial past of the Freemasons and on how they conducted business. You know, general business, obviously, like any other organisation, is attended to, and minutes and accounts are passed.
It's more a ceremony. For example, for the initiation, the candidate that wants to join us is going to come inside the lodge, and there is all a ceremony where we take him, you know, all around, and we are saying to him some obligations.
I guess what you're trying to say, really, it's more about trying to impart some of that symbology to a man when he first joins Freemasonry and that journey that he goes through. Would that be right? So the symbology in this room, for example, we talked about the square representing conduct, the columns representing strength, wisdom, beauty, the letter G representing the great architect of the universe. So all of those symbols together, really, we try and teach that to those moral principles, if you like. We try and impart that to our young men when they first join through those ceremonies. Would that be a way of summarising that?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, all right. And when you joined, what did you think? What was your first thoughts?
Initially, for me, it was fear. It was a lot of, my friends that are Freemasons who were trying to scare me, obviously. There was the fear of the unknown, like with anything. And I was also, astounded by the warmth and the friendship that was given. It was like I knew these people for, all my life.
When I first joined, it was very supportive, very friendly. I couldn't believe just what Barish had said, that how much, everyone around you wants to support you and help you out and find out how you've been going. And they do, take you around and see other lodges as well, so you can continue to learn things as well. It ends up being just more than just, the ceremony, and it's you hanging out with your friends. And each lodge that you go to, your circle of friends just grows even more.
So thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing your stories with us and showing us an insight into your experience in Freemasonry. We hope you enjoyed this insight into the symbolism of Freemasonry and inside the lodge room.
Hi, my name's Wes Turnbull, and during this series I'll be introducing you to some famous people you might know well, but might not have realised were also Freemasons. Freemasons don't seek fame. In fact, humility is part of the teaching in Freemasonry, but it doesn't preclude people from achieving the best of what they can be in their personal life. However, a Freemason's personal goal to be a better man doesn't preclude him from professional success. Today we'll look at two men whose names live on. Their commitment, dedication, diligence and hard work exemplify what it is to be a Freemason. Sir Robert Menzies holds the record as Australia's longest-serving Prime Minister. He was first elected at the start of the Second World War to lead a hung parliament. His second term as Prime Minister from 1949 to 1966 took his total time in the office to over 18 years. Robert Menzies joined the Austral Temple Lodge in 1920. In 1976, his personal standard was presented to the Hearts of Oak Lodge, which is dedicated to the little ships that supported the evacuation of Dunkirk in 1940. Sir Robert was awarded his 50-year service jewel in 1972. During the Second World War, Menzies had concerns regarding the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill's intentions for the defence of Australia. Menzies struggled to convince Churchill to send reinforcements to Singapore, failed. But in 1941, Menzies led the Liberal Party he'd helped to establish through 6 consecutive successful election campaigns. As Prime Minister, he continued to build Australia's strong defence alliance with the United States, signing ANZUS and CETO treaties and offering Australian military support to US war initiatives in Korea and Vietnam. Weary Dunlop, like Menzies, was a Freemason who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most recognised characters in our history. He was a doctor, rugby player and war hero who never stopped displaying the humility, grace and gregarious joy of life that he'd been so famous for. When war broke out in 1939, he was a surgeon at St Mary's Hospital, Paddington. In 1942, he was transferred with the Casualty Clearing Station in Java and promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. When Java fell to the Japanese, he became a prisoner of war. It was during his time as a prisoner of war that Dunlop displayed the compassion and dedication that would make him famous. Placed in charge of the medical care of prisoners of war, Dunlop was eventually moved to the Thai-Burma Railway. Conditions were horrific, with inadequate food, frequent beatings, no medical supplies, and tropical disease, all making a difficult job near impossible. Dunlop's dedication, compassion and heroism made him a legend among the other prisoners. He restored morale, defied his captors and allowed the sick to hope. He was called a lighthouse of sanity in a universe of madness and suffering. He's credited with the high Australian survival rates from the work camp. Weary Dunlop joined Lodge Liberation in 1954 after returning from the war. The lodge was established by returned servicemen in 1949. To this day, the lodge still uses the samurai sword relinquished by Lieutenant General Teshima to General Blamey at the end of World War II. General Blamey gave the sword to the lodge at the time of its formation. In Menzies' fight to keep Australians in Singapore safe from invasion, and Dunlop's fight to keep those same Australians safe once the invasion had occurred, we see an important aspect of Freemasonry: compassion for one's fellow man and the preservation of dignity. For a Freemason, all people are created equal. All good people should be allowed to meet on the level.
Hi, I'm Lena Way, and today I've hit the streets to find out what people really think about the Freemasons. Here are some of their responses.
That they're a body of secretive men, originating in the UK, I think.
I have heard, and it's like a secret men's club, I think, and I don't know anything more than that.
I've heard of them, but I don't really know what they do, no.
How about you?
Yeah, I don't really know what they do. I've heard of them.
My grandfather I know was a member, but I don't really know what they did or how they get up to or things like that.
Is it part of the Freemasons Hospital?
Not really, but I have spent time in their hospital several years ago. That's why I know about them.
Oh, they're just like a bit like a Lions or the Rotary or that sort of a charity thing.
But it was to do with trade skills, I thought, something of that nature, and looking after people, but I don't know whether there was any religious significance or it was a power against some other power.
It's not an organisation I know a lot about.
I know nothing about Freemasonry.
We're aware of them. Was your dad in the Freemasons?
No, I haven't had no family connection with the Freemasons. They've got a big institution very nearby to here.
Not a lot, only that it's a secret type of society.
They did look after my mother when he died. They made sure that she was financially well off and contacted her every year until she died.
Here's someone who might know a thing or two about Freemasonry, and that's the CEO and Grand Secretary of Freemasons Victoria, Peter Henschel. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Lena. How are you?
Good, thank you. So is that the secret handshake?
No, that's not the secret handshake.
Can you tell me what it is?
No, I can't.
Why is that?
Well, one of the things that Freemasons do is to trust each other. And another thing they do is take some of their moral lessons from the ways in which the ancient Freemasons used to operate in building the cathedrals and great houses of Europe. And in those days they were basically illiterate, so one way of recognising each other was to have a handshake or a word that would allow them to recognise their skills and their ability to be able to work with each other. And we've taken that as a moral lesson, and we use our handshakes and our words as emblems of trustworthiness. acts.
So when you meet a fellow Freemason, you can automatically assume that he has a certain moral standing and character.
That's right. That's right. And that's really the linchpin of what Freemasonry is about, so that men can trust and work with each other regardless of their background or their religious or cultural beliefs.
So in talking to people today, not many members of the public understand what Freemasonry is or what Freemasonry represents, and a lot of people think that Freemasonry is a secret society. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that perception is probably right, and to that degree we've been our own worst enemy over many years. And what we're trying to do now is to make people aware of exactly what we do, because in Victoria we probably contribute in excess of $1.5 million to charity annually, and not many people know that. We do it through special appeals that are run by Freemasons Victoria. We do it through the charitable work of our individual lodges, of which there are about 300 in Victoria.
Hi, I'm Jim Spreadbarrow. Welcome to From the Archives. We have had many rituals in Victoria over the years, for over 130 odd years. And they all come from the emulation ritual out of England. This is our current ritual. Size of that, perfect to read. This is the ritual we used, we used to call the Little Black Book, back in the 50s and the 60s, 1950, 1960. Here's a special one. This was from 1907. Perfect. But this is the classic. You'll see little dots on there representing the first, second and third degrees of Freemasonry. 1890. Gotta be very careful here. It was called then the finger ritual. And if you get a close-up of that, look at the size of that. Now, our brethren in those days had this in their pocket, took it out of their little vest pocket, and there was the ritual of the craft, second degree, etc., etc., etc. It was made by some people out of some printers in Williamstown, and each of them covers our complete ritual of today. So what's in here?
Hi, I'm Mark Vincent for Freemasons Victoria. We're taking part in the Australia Day celebrations. It's not often that you get to see Freemasons in full dress regalia. I'm here with the Grand Master of Freemasons Victoria, Most Worshipful Brother Bob Jones, and the Deputy Grand Master, Right Worshipful Brother Hillel Benedict. Grand Master, what is the significance of Freemasons Victoria with respect to the Australia Day celebrations?
Well, Mark, Freemasons Victoria are very much integrated with the community. We are members of the community. This is Australia Day, and we're so proud to be celebrating Australia Day as Freemasons and to be out amongst this magnificent crowd dressed in our regalia, just to put to rest finally the myth that Freemasonry is a secret society. Here we are, very proud to be Australians, very proud to be part of the community in this wonderful Australia Day People's March today.
And Right Worshipful Brother Benedict, if you could tell us about our involvement here in the Australia Day celebrations.
Yeah, look, it is a great thing. You can sort of sense the excitement with all the people here. It's quite a colourful display, and it's great for Freemasons to be so publicly visible, and we've been receiving a very warm reception from the crowds. It's wonderful.
And so what does it mean to be a Freemason in this day and age?
Oh, it's something that we should all be enormously proud of, and something certainly as an individual I'm very, very proud of.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, can I also ask you, for 2013, what has Freemasonry got up its sleeve for this year?
Oh, I think we've got one of the most exciting innovations that we've come up with for 100 years. We're making these series of TV programs to be shown on Channel 31 starting on March the 4th, and we're so excited to be running a 26-week episode on what Freemasonry is and letting people inside Freemasonry to show them how proud we are of being Australians, citizens, particularly on this Australia Day, People's March Day.
We've just come from the end of the march, and what an experience it was. We had a set of drums going on behind us, and it took every ounce of resolve to stop from breaking into a little jig as we were going down the hill there. But with the sea of faces and everything else, all of the other ceremony going on, it was a really, really amazing experience. So I'm with our CEO, Peter Henschel. We're about to rally the troops to get together and do a Scotch fire. Peter, can you tell us what a Scotch fire actually is and how it's significant to Freemasons?
Well, Mark, Scotch fires were originally used by the Scots before going into battle back in the Middle Ages. It was a fire to rally the troops, to warm them up. They did it with a tot of whiskey, and then they banged their glasses on the ground and off they went into battle. We've adopted that as a bit of a rallying call on nights of installation when the masters of our lodges are having their festive board, and as a bit of a cheer, as a bit of a launch into their new year, we have a rousing Scotch fire.
Peter, thank you very much. I think we better get into it.
Australia Day, Scotch fire. Putting your right hand up, your left hand down, and come away. Hey, hey, hey! Hey, hey, hey! Hey, hey, hey! Hey, hey!
Thanks for joining us on Freemasons, The Inside Story. To find out more about Freemasonry, visit the Freemasons Victoria website at www.freemasonsvic.net.au or phone us on 1800 Freemason. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, LinkedIn and Google+. See you next week.